The script for the next Dead End Paranormal Park video is giving me fits. So to ensure that I meet my self-imposed deadline of making at least one video per month, I figured now would be as good a time as any to talk about the best big-budget animated film of 2022, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. DreamWorks has mastered the art of producing fantastic sequels. I know everyone points to Shrek 2 as the peak of cinema, but Kung Fu Panda 2 will always rank higher in my heart.
Skadoosh.
The Last Wish is one of those rare films where the creativity on display feels effortless. The writing is impeccable, the animation is gorgeous, and any movie starring Florence Pugh becomes an automatic favorite of mine.
But these ones are just right.
I love it when a piece of media holds a mirror up to me and forces me to reconsider the current state of my life. I definitely wasn't expecting that wake-up call to come from a Puss in Boots movie, though. Puss starts the film as a confident, swashbuckling outlaw who enjoys his lives but doesn't truly value them. After dying for the 8th time, Puss meets Death's persona, and their fight forces him to grapple with his own mortality. He develops anxiety, which plagues him for most of the movie, and it's one of the most accurate portrayals of existential dread I've ever seen on screen. Existential dread is the fear that our lives lack meaning and purpose, and this fear has the capacity to cause tremendous stress for an individual. In its worst cases, existential dread can contribute to addictions, compulsive behaviors, and a crippling sense of depression. Instead of confronting this fear head-on, Puss runs for his life and spends a considerable amount of time hiding with Mama Luna. The comedic bits of him having to use the litter box and eat typical cat food serve a dual purpose. Puss has rendered himself an object in the universe at the mercy of its circumstances. He lets someone else construct his identity, and his individualism is slowly stripped away as he assimilates with the other cats. In a movie filled to the brim with fantastic scenes, this is the one that really struck a chord with me. I've had my fair share of anxiety attacks, and I've often felt out of place with my own family, but there's something so relatable about succumbing to the cloud of dread hanging over your shoulders. It's easy to hide from the world. Heck, every time I leave the house, I develop a new reason to never go outside again. But that's not healthy. That's not living. The best part of being alive is making connections with other people, so it's fairly tragic how isolated and alone Puss is in a house overflowing with other cats. The image of a weather vane spinning around knocked me off my axis. Just a few days ago, I stared at my planner, stunned by the realization that January passed me by, and I hardly accomplished any of my goals. I barely saw my friends. I abandoned my healthier eating habits. My writing fell by the wayside because I felt like a horrible, talentless fraud. I didn't grow a beard, but gosh, my bangs sure got ridiculously long when I wasn't looking. There's no perfect formula for breaking out of this kind of slump. For Puss, it's a wake-up call in two forms: Perrito and the Three Bears crime family. Meeting new people is a great way to add some variety to your life. It's a ripple in the pond of constant mundanity. Perrito puts forth most of the effort in the beginning, and this persistence leads to a wonderful, mutually beneficial friendship. Another way to break free from your slump is to be confronted with the memory of who you used to be, and realizing how much you miss that version of yourself.
You think this scruffy geriatric bag of bones looks like a legend?
This encounter encourages Puss to become an active participant in his own life again, stealing the map to the Wishing Star and reuniting with Kitty Softpaws in the process. These two cats have enough trust issues to fill the entire Grand Canyon, but the only way to build lasting connections is to put your faith in other people. Sometimes that faith isn't rewarded. That's part of the risk that comes from being vulnerable. But vulnerability is a great strength, and the willingness to show it can deeply enrich your life. Love and friendship aren't a cure-all for anxiety, though. They're a tremendous motivating factor, but the willingness to face your deepest fears is a choice you have to make for yourself, and it's far from easy. I felt my own hair stand on end each time Death whistled his motif because existential dread is an intrusive sensation. It can cloud your mind at any time and last indefinitely if you're not careful. Only after you acknowledge the fear for what it is are you truly able to successfully confront it. At its core, existential dread is the fear that we have not made the most of our limited time here, that the end is barreling toward us, and we have wasted too many precious moments. This fear is a powerful paralytic, but we can't let it control our actions. The meaning of life is whatever we choose it to be, and a simple shift in perspective can change everything.
I brought you a sword.
That's not a sword. That's a stick.
It's a stick sword.
True optimism is rare these days. I find it hard to muster up hope when the news is full of so many depressing headlines, but choosing to focus on the silver lining is a defiant rejection of our bleak reality. Perrito has one of the most tragic backstories I've ever heard, yet he has the best grasp of perspective in the cast.
You know, I think all you have to do is stop and smell the roses.
Stopping to smell the flowers is beyond cliché, but a phrase's triteness doesn't devalue its core sentiment or capacity for genuine impact. People tend to overcomplicate things, and in the process, we lose ourselves in the overwhelming scope of complexity. but simple joys are what keep us grounded. Perito doesn't dwell on the unfairness of his situation. He remains proactive, turning his sock sweater into something positive and reaching out to people who would have otherwise ignored him. He has no wish he wants granting because he appreciates what's in front of him, and the other characters learn to adopt a similar mindset.
Maybe one life is enough.
The Bears are Goldilocks' family, and no wish could provide her a better support system. Kitty wants someone she can trust, but that person is already part of her world. Puss only has one life left, but he will cherish it while he can. There is no defeating death. It will come for us all one day. The best we can do is live fearlessly, and greet the end like an old friend when the time comes.
Live your life, Puss in Boots. Live it well.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go get my hair cut.